I remember just kind of sitting there, just like in my hands, just thinking like, all right, listen, here's the deal. Like, just win the ball. Like, you have a lot of great athletes on, great offensive guys. Get them the ball and just get them the best shot opportunity. I remember picking up this ball, and all of a sudden I'm like, I got an open lane here. So I pick it up, and I'm running. And, I look at kind of like left and right, and I don't see anyone up. My guys are doing a great job boxing out, giving me a lane. And what's great also about these NFL stadiums is that you have lines, right? So you kind of know where you are on the field. So you know that the GLE is at the 10-yard line. And then in M&T Bank, where the game was, you know that the 20-yard line has those purple kind of outer lines on it. Designate that, meaning that you're basically 10 yards from the goal at that point.
Sure.
So I remember running and like, all right, like you're waiting for the slide here. And, 100% where it's going to come from. But I'm running and, it's very interesting, especially times when games in overtime, right? And, you look at it where guys don't want to be the fall guy. Meaning like, people have a tough time sliding because, it's like, oh, like I don't want my guy to be the one who scored because then it's my fault. But at the same time, it's a 4-on-3 break. Like someone's got to pick up ball. But, the way I look at it, I mean, like my sophomore year, I got hurt early. I started kind of finally feeling more back healthy in my towards playoff time actually. But, if I'm running down the field, I just remember running. I'm like, all right, I'm going to look to pass it off. I mean, like, who's going to be opening? Like Ned's going to be there. I can throw it to Ned. That's going to be fine. Or I did like throwing a lot of times cross, like to like say that righty shooter, so like Zach Howell. But at the same time, if I'm Notre Dame, right, my game plan would probably be let me shoot, right? If you think about it, it's like, all right, you got Ned Crotty, who's going to win the Torton that year. You got Zach Howell, who I think was a 50-plus goal scorer that year. And on the left-hand side, you got Max Quinzani. So, of those four, then you got me, the sophomore kid. Like, who are you going to, with the long pole, who are you going to let shoot the ball? So I just remember running down the field, and as soon as I hit that purple line, I was like, all right, no one slid to me. I'm gonna kind of let this thing fly. And it's funny because, especially the long pole, the biggest thing you worry about is trail checks. So when I run through the field, you make sure that I basically have my stick up in front of myself. And you want to keep it really high, right? Because you want to keep the angle so that it's very difficult for the goalie to track. And what you're taught as a defenseman is you want to shoot for upper corners, right? So the idea here is that if you miss, at least you can just get it back up, no problem. Because the worst thing in the world is when you run transition, you hit the goalie in the stick, right, and it's popcorn going the other way. Because then you got to get on your horse, tired. It's just the worst experience. And then if they score, then you feel like even worse. Like it's kind of a 2-goal swing, so to speak. I remember kind of just like shooting kind of as high as possible. And like I remember like I shot it falling down, and basically where the ball and I remember just sitting there. I kind of slid. And I just remember watching. And I mean the scouting report for us was to shoot low, and Scotty Rogers, who was the goalie for Notre Dame, and I just remember seeing him just go low, like all I remember seeing is the back of the net just kind of move. Or basically it seemed like where the ball went, where his head would have been if he didn't kind of guess low a little bit. And I remember seeing the net move, and like, the first, like it was, and like all of a sudden, like you just sit there and I see the net move, and I'm just like, wow, like you kind of like takes like kind of a second to digest, and like I didn't hear any of the crowd, any of that. So what I ended up hearing though was, I just remember hearing Max Quinzani, so on my right side, and I just hear him say, "Oh my God!" But as his voice cracks like he just went through puberty. I'm just like, "Oh my God, this is it. This is over." I remember just grabbing him and like just hugging him, and you sit there, you're hugging, and like Zach and Ed, and all of a sudden, like next thing you know, the whole team's kind of like dog pile rush, and then you're at the bottom of this pile, and you're sitting there and you're getting absolutely crushed. Like you can't breathe. Steve Shuffle, who was the mini for us, his helmet came off. I remember Zach's like literally trying to cradle his head so he doesn't so his head doesn't get crushed. And I remember sitting there just like, I'm sitting there like just like I can't breathe, but I was just so happy that I did not care in the least. Like I sat there and just like, wow, this is it. Like, I mean, you're talking about, I mean, that's the goal. I mean, that's like the pinnacle of it all in terms of lacrosse is to win on that weekend, to have a moment on that. And then, you know, what people don't realize is, I mean, your season starts in August.
Yep.
Right? You have a fall season. I mean, like you run and lift, you play lacrosse, you get up at 6, 7 o'clock a.m. in the morning at Duke, and you practice a couple hours and you go to class. Like, people don't see all that, all the hard work that goes into it. And then, you know, obviously you look at what some of those guys went through in 2006, and the kind of, you don't always necessarily get storybook endings. And, like, you know, I'm very fortunate to have that moment for those guys. And, you know, it was just, you know, it was just honestly, like, it was just surreal.